Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. Today, I'm carrying on my interview series, Reflections and Forecast 21-22, where we look back on this year and also look ahead to the coming year with some experts and leaders across life science and pharma. And today, I'm delighted to be joined by Baljit Ubhi, who is VP of Strategic Marketing, and Darrell Hinnant, who is the VP of Sales and Service from MOBILion. And we're going to learn a bit more about how 2021 has impacted them and look ahead to their predictions for 2022. So, Darrell, Baljit, how are you both?
Yeah, doing well, Rizwan. How are you?
Very, very well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for taking the time out, because I know, you're mostly with family, preparing for the holiday season. So taking a bit of time out just to do this little chat with me, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So the first question I'm going to ask you, though, is can one of you give me a quick background on MOBILion for those people who are not familiar with the business?
Yeah, sure. So MOBILion Systems is a technology company, and we are solving problems for the biopharmaceutical industry. We launched our first product earlier this year in the summer in 2021. And yeah, we're really excited to play amongst some of the other providers in this space. And we have technology that is uniquely positioned to address those questions. And it is highly differentiated, allows users to resolve very challenging molecules, which they need to be able to do as part of their submission studies for advancing biotherapeutics.
Fantastic. All right. So as you had the spotlight there, Belle, let me ask for Darrell then this first question, which is describe 2021 in one word and why.
Challenging. And I mean, obviously, the remnants and still the impacts of COVID still continue to impact the business, impact the market, impact supply chain, impact the ability to interact with customers in a face-to-face environment like we would prefer for the most part, although it has loosened compared to 2020 to some degree, but overall it's still been a challenge in 2021.
All right. And Bal, what about you? Would you use the same term, or would you have a different word to sum up 2021?
So Darrell described the way that the pandemic's impacted the business, and I totally agree with him. Also, being responsible for the product management team, we were running a beta program of our product. During the pandemic, we can't get face-to-face time with our beta customers, so the entire program pretty much had to be run virtually. However, what I will say is we successfully executed the beta program, and as I said, subsequently we launched the technology. What's the one word I would use? I'm on the marketing side. We actually made a number of achievements in 2021. So I would say that whilst it was very challenging for the business, the one word I'd describe is very innovative. So innovative and impactful. And I'll tell you a little bit more about why, because I guess we're going to talk about achievements and what 2021 meant to MOBILion.
Brilliant. Okay, fantastic. Now, you talked about, obviously, it's been challenging because the pandemic has impacted you. So how have you as a business overcome those particular challenges that the pandemic has brought to you as a business? I mean, Darrell, as you brought it up first, would you like to cover that?
Yeah, sure. So one of the ways that we have is trying to train our teams and have different platforms to be able to engage customers virtually. To be able to have virtual presences at industry events, as well as some in person. Be able to engage with customers as much as possible in a face-to-face presence where we can, but also, as Bal will probably say, as well as drive things like our marketing presence, our social media presence, in order to allow customers to engage with our content in multiple different ways.
Right. And Bal, from your perspective, I mean, how has the company overcome the pandemic, if you like, and the impacts of the pandemic this year? And not just from a marketing perspective, but also from a broader company perspective as well, maybe.
Yeah, very similar to what Darrell said. We still want to engage with our customers face to face, so we're doing that in putting in a number of safety protocols, Our associates still come to the office, and we have a very safe environment to allow them to do that, testing facilities, sanitizing stations, and making sure that associates feel safe in being able to come forward if they've tested positive for whatever reasons. Our customers, as you can appreciate, the biopharmaceutical industry, very strict again as us around allowing people on site. So we have had to pivot to virtual presence and supporting that sort of the customer needs through digital channels. We employed video selling tools. We've employed tools that allow us to engage over coffee and many different things by sending the coffee out ahead of time and you know, things that actually show a level of appreciation and that we appreciate their time, you know, because trying to do all this business virtually can also cause fatigue and can really sort of consume people, so especially our industry. So yeah, we've tried to navigate those challenges, and I believe we've been very successful at that.
Fantastic. All right, well, that leads on quite nicely. We talked about successes to highlights and achievements for this year. So lovely segue there, Baljit. That wasn't even planned. So how? So let's look at from looking back at these past 12 months. So what are the highlights for you from a MOBILion point of view in terms of things that you've achieved?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it from my perspective, maybe a little bit the company, and then maybe Darrell can give the service perspective. So as I said earlier, we wrapped up a highly successful beta program. Like I said, you know, in the middle of a pandemic, you know, it's even sort of unheard of that is something that you could do. So really proud of the team for that. We shipped and installed our first Mobi unit, and Darrell can maybe touch a little bit more on that. And we've had several of those units go out. We introduced a social media strategy. I've been at the company 5 months, so it was very important that we put that in place to allow to have ourselves a virtual presence, get our brand recognition, but also get visibility to the market and vice versa. The customers get visibility to our business and our technology. I'd say one of the biggest highlights was really a successful ASMS. And when I came on board and we were getting prepared for ASMS, 4 of the team members in my group had joined the team less than 6 weeks before the show was about to go live. So we went in there, guns a blazing. We had many different programs set up. You know, we're a very unconventional style team, and you notice that visibly when you see our associates and when you see us on the floor at any show. We like to switch things up. And as I said, we're not conventional. We don't want to be a conventional, you know, vendor organization. So we went into ASMS with some goals, and we hit every single one, including achieving marketing campaign of the year for our hashtag Where's Mobi scavenger hunt. And then the accolades have been coming in from a business perspective. We made the 2021 Pharma Innovation Awards. We made the Medicine Maker Innovation Awards. Our CEO has been collecting many achievements and awards for her leadership, and especially as being a woman leader and a business leader in the life sciences industry. So there's so many, and I can't name them all, but yeah, I'll leave that with you, and then I'll turn it over to Darrell.
Right. So Darrell, from your perspective, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about it, right, we launched our first commercial product to the marketplace in the middle of June. And we now have, you know, sold and installed our first commercial product. We had a very successful, you know, first installation with our customer. We've had a couple of more as well, but we also, you know, built out a brand new sales team in that exact same time frame. And as Bal was mentioning, we attended not just ASMS, but we had 5 industry events throughout the second half of 2021. I would say 3 of those were all virtual, and 2 of those were in person. And, you know, it really helped to drive our brand awareness, drive market, you know, adoption and interest in our product. And the great thing is it's really created a lot of strong desire for our customer base to know more about what we are and who we are and what we're doing here at MOBILion. And so I would say those are just some of the other highlights I would say from a sales, perspective, to add to what Val mentioned.
Right. Now, one of the questions I've got for you, though, is that it has been a very busy year and a lot's been happening across life science and biopharma in general. So are there any development stories or trends that you've seen in the marketplace that stood out for you in the last 12 months or so? Who would like to do that? Darrell, do you want to lead with that one?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say anything stood out from a market trend. I will say that, from our business perspective, the amount of interest in what we're doing in high resolution ion mobility, as a modality has really been exciting. And the customer's interest to really try to figure out how we can leverage this technology to, as we say in our business, reveal what others leave unseen, has really been exciting. And I would say that's really been, generating a lot of velocity, I think, around ion mobility as a modality. So I would think that's been pretty evident, I think, this year in 2021. I'll let Val add some of her, maybe other marketing, perspectives there.
Fine, sure.
Yeah, what I would say is probably not a new market trend, but it continues from 2020, right? So really the biopharma companies that are really pushing now vaccine development, vaccine research, we saw the COVID vaccines being rolled out. That continues to be, initially 2020 was the race to get the first vaccine, and 2021 is like, how do we now go forward knowing what we've just delivered in the industry? For MOBILion as a player and as a provider to those biopharmaceutical companies, how do we continue to innovate? How do we continue to support those customers now, knowing that their timelines are accelerated, right? Their purchasing decisions are, the way that they're making those decisions are different to how they were pre-2020. So we continue to navigate those. We continue to work with top 10 biopharma, but also the smaller biotherapeutic companies, CROs, and so forth. So a lot of collaborative work in the pipeline, especially with our applications team, and lots of strategic partnerships and developments that we've been exploring as part of that. And just to go back to what Darrell said, it's really the technology that's the driving force here, because the interest and the buzz that we're creating in the industry is really around this novel piece of technology that is unparalleled to any other type of technology out there. So it can do things that others can't, and it's highly differentiated in that sense. So now we're sort of, I guess you plant the seed and our customers start to think about, wow, I mean, this really could advance our workflow. So that's where we're getting the interest. Darrell building out the sales force, we can't build it fast enough because we have so much interest. So he's fielding that with his team really, really well. And we're really excited for what 2022 is going to bring.
Right. And one final question, sort of wrapping up our discussion about this year. I mean, are there any areas that you think the industry could have done better, and how?
Yeah, I guess I can take a quick stab at it. And then I guess where we went into the industry sort of, hi, Ubhi. I just spoke up, sorry.
Yes, that's all right.
Well, I was just about to sort of segue into that, which was when we went into the pandemic, there was a lot of focus on, moving to virtual tools and work-life balance. And, 6 months into the pandemic in 2020, and maybe even 9 months in, a lot of fatigue, children at home, parents trying to navigate the work-life situation. That sort of went away, I feel, in 2021. And it almost became acceptable that, you could continue to deliver 100% at work whilst, the whole childcare situation was not figured out at all, right? And we still, as a parent, as a new parent, to an 8-month-old baby, it is still extremely challenging to navigate that and, still have a very demanding career. So I got to say that being part of MOBILion, and this comes from the top down with our CEO, really champions sort of that work-life balance, anytime we now have a personal situation at home, it's a safe space to bring that to the workplace, that we don't shy away from it. I empower my teams with the same thing, and I know absolutely Darrell does. So I would say that how the industry could have been better is to continue to leverage and support their associates. And I think that sort of went away a little bit in 2021. I really hope that, leaders in the life sciences industry continue to support their associates who are not just navigating, issues around their families, but personal issues, mental health issues, right? Being at home, and there are a lot of people that love being face to face, right? So how's that impacting a person's mental health? So yeah, I think we could do some more work there.
And Darrell, anything to add?
Yeah, I don't know that I have much to add there. The only thing I would say is, when we had to go into this kind of virtual space that we've all lived in, as Bal was mentioning, as a manufacturing company, as a vendor in the space, right? It's always difficult to get access sometimes to your customers. So
Yep.
I think, having a way to understand who people are, where they are, how to connect with people in the right ways and the right formats, from customer segments would help to, speed up process and reduce waste in some ways. So I don't know that there's a solution there, but I think, being able to increase communication between, customers and vendors, I think would be a way to reduce time that people are spending, having to try and hunt for somebody's name or contact information or set up a meeting or something like that, because everybody in this virtual world spends, 60 or 70% of their day doing those tasks.
Fine, brilliant. All right, well, let's look ahead to 2022 then, and it's predictions time. And I'm not going to ask you who's going to win the Super Bowl, because and everybody like that, but I will ask you more about the industry. So, who'd like to kick off and give us their predictions for 22 from an industry perspective? We'll talk more specifically about MOBILion, what you're going to achieve, what your plans are, and so on. But from an industry perspective, how do you see the life science industry panning out in 2022? Bal, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So I think obviously the pandemic's not going away tomorrow, right? We continue to navigate new variants, and we have to continue to support those customers. As Darrell said, we have to continue to find new ways to innovate on how to go and prospect, find new targets, new business, and so forth. So my relationship with Darrell and Darrell's team is extremely close and tight. So we are right arm, left arm to the business, right? So we are very aligned in that, and we will continue to support the sales team in whatever they need, and we'll continue to and when I say we, the strategic marketing team will continue to find new ways to allow the sales team to be successful, and hence the business to be successful.
Sure.
What I'll say is that whilst academic funding did bounce back in 2021, I think that's going to continue to be a challenge for 2022. We saw a dip there in 2020, right, across the industry, sort of bounced back a bit this year, but I think that's going to continue to present challenges. But I think, again, you can do nothing but support that process, have the tools available, again, be very different in the way that you think. And I think that we bring that to the table, right? We might be a small company, and we're playing against all those big, LCMS players in the market. But we've come in and we're bullish, we're agile, right? Where we can pivot very quickly, and we're coming in with very diverse thought of mind because of the diversity amongst our associates. So that's very evident. That's very evident in the life sciences industry that we are a different organization, and I think we'll continue to navigate those challenges in 2022. I think, again, the exhaustion of what this is doing to not just customers, but from a vendor perspective, to continuously be on top of new ideas and new ways to engage the community is something, that everybody's struggling with, right? But at the same time, I see that as not just a challenge, but an opportunity. It's like, bring it. We'll continue to find new ways, and it really causes, like I said, it causes you to shift your mindset, and I hope that we continue to do that, and again, support Darrell's team.
Right. And Darrell, have you got anything in terms of predictions for the industry?
Yeah, I think the CAGR for life sciences will still be, a positive growth rate for 2022. I think what we'll see is, from a challenging perspective, is supply chain issues will continue throughout 2022. I don't think we've seen the crest of that yet. I think we'll be challenged with some inflationary issues as an industry, both from a customer and a supplier perspective, and how we balance those things. And I think workforce is still something that will be challenging to the industry in 2022, because it is somewhat of an employee market right now. And so, going after top talent and retaining top talent and those kinds of things, both from manufacturing and the vendor community, but also on the customer side, I think will be challenges that we'll all face in 2022. So I think those will be the big drivers of what happens from an overall economic performance of the life science industry.
Right. And let's talk about, you mentioned LCMS there a bit earlier with the vendors and so on, Baljit. So let's look at sort of specifically your industry segment, if you like, and the space that you're working in. What developments do you expect to see in that particular space? Because every year you'll see new developments coming. And you mentioned obviously iMobility's now become far more to the fore in the last 12 months as well, partly because obviously the work that you've done and the technology you've brought to market. But I know other vendors have also been pushing iMobility with some of their instruments as well. So what do you see the industry developing like in the coming 12 months?
So I think one point that Darrell touched on, which was, I want to elaborate a little bit more on, which is that supply chain issue, right? So we look at sort of materials shortage. Again, being responsible for the product management team and building out our roadmap, right? And iterating on technology. We're having to navigate in real time as we speak some of those material shortages, and how we're going to navigate changes in the fact that there are shortages in a certain type of gas product and vice versa that are going to run those instruments. So this is something we were just talking about last week as a team as we sat down. So again, we're a smaller organization. We don't have that sort of large matrix, driven type organization. We're not a large corporation. We can navigate those challenges, I would say, in a more nimble way than some of our larger competitors can. So I think that's a very positive thing. But obviously, that whole supply chain, the material shortages, that will be there. That hits every one of the partners. I think what we're doing, and what you just hit on there, is we've just changed the game in iMobility, right? And I want to get away from the fact that we're an iMobility company. We're a solutions-driven company that provides answers to problems that our customers face. And iMobility happens to be a piece of that, and is really, like I said, the differentiator. We've really brought iMobility to the forefront, and is allowing us to push separations of challenging molecules faster than anyone in the industry. So just given, what we've seen with the pandemic, and as I said earlier, these biopharma companies that want to move the workflows faster, time is money, reduce cost, and get sort of deeper level of characterization information, we can do that. And we can do that 10x, 20x faster than our competitors. So I think, as Darrell said, we only just launched our first commercial unit in sort of June, July this year.
Sure.
And we've only not even hit 6 months, right, of that product being out on the market. So 2022, what are we going to see? I think really this technology being brought to the forefront, and really making advances out in the life sciences space, and in the, really rivaling what LCMS can do. And maybe LC goes away altogether, right? So I think that's what we're trying to address with our customers, and that's what we hear a lot from them, is how do we just get the LC out of here, right? So that's what we're navigating and supporting them through. So again, there'll be new developments. Every other vendor organization is probably going to launch a next iteration of their mass spectrometer, right? Again, we're a very different company. That's not what we do. We don't do incremental changes. I would just say watch his space for what else you're going to see from MOBILion.
Right. Okay. And Darrell, anything to add to that?
Nothing to add to that, Rizwan.
Fine. Okay. So you've touched on it already. So I was going to ask you what to expect from MOBILion, but you just said watch this space. I don't think I can add anything to that particular question. So any last thoughts for the viewers before we close up? Baljit?
Maybe I hand it to Darrell just while I navigate my son here for a second.
Yeah, we are looking forward to, obviously spending some time now, through the holidays with family and trying to navigate that obviously as safely and as we can with the current challenges with some of these variants. But we are looking forward to getting out and getting with customers more in 2022, more than we did in 2021. We're also looking at a number of industry events. As I mentioned, we did 5 in the second half of the year. I know Val can talk about how many we've got planned, but we're looking forward to engaging customers, I would say, more face-to-face in 2022, and continuing to help provide those solutions and revealing what others leave unseen. So that's really what I would like to close with, Rizwan.
Yeah, I would just tag on from there. I think the things that you're going to see from MOBILion that we haven't talked about is really, again, going back to that sort of diversity factor. So again, many companies talking about diversity, inclusion. I would say we live and breathe that at MOBILion. Again, it comes down from our leader. And if you look at us as an organization, what I would say is that we want to bring those topics to the surface, right? We don't want them to be taboo subjects anymore. So I think what you're going to see is not just from a scientific perspective, technology perspective, but what you will see us do a lot more of is bring those topics to light and address issues within the life sciences industry that I think started to be addressed in 2020 in the pandemic because people were at home and a lot of these challenges did arise to the surface. But a lot more about that, right? I think I touched on it earlier, how are parents navigating the pandemic? How are women and people of color being affected in the life sciences industry? Discrimination issues around the life sciences industry, and how do we support that and going forward, because again, it's up to people like us to be able to support that and serve the community. So I would say watch this space for more of that. As the head of D&I at MOBILion, I want to make sure that our associates, but also people beyond in the life sciences industry feel it is a safe space to bring some of those subjects up in their organizations, and that they're given that safe space to talk about issues, whether it be around mental health or whatever else might be affecting them. So that's what I wanted to close out with. And again, my partnership with Darrell and his team and his MOBILion leadership team as a whole, very excited for what 2022 is going to bring, and see the success of Mobi out in the marketplace.
Fantastic. Well, look, all that's left. Well, actually, I was going to say all that's left, but there isn't all that's left. So I just thought of 2 other things in my head to close up. One was, where can people see MOBILion? Well, certainly beginning part of 2022, because we won't go too far into the year, because who knows how the variants will impact events. I mean, I did an event list with over 300 events, and already I have to change it for January because things have moved, like JP Morgan and so on. So, or changed. Right, yes. So where can people see MOBILion? Either face-to-face or virtually. Which events can they see in January, for example? I
mean, as Darrell said, so we're supporting, and we've already locked down, right? We've just went through our budgeting cycle, and we just locked down our plan for 2022 in terms of events and sponsored events. So we're going to be at all the big tier 1 shows. So we'll be at Pep Talk in San Diego. We're going to be at WCBP, of course, in DC. And then there's some other shows like US HUPO that we're supporting as we go into ASMS and beyond. I believe there's CASMAS Spec and so forth, and World HUPO at the end of the year. But of course, the tier 1 shows aren't always our focus, right? We're a smaller organization, so a lot of sort of regional and territory specific events that we're supporting Darrell's teams with. So we're going to be attending those, and we have a full calendar. We've had our team huddles, and so and maybe Darrell, there's something that you might want to add there.
Well, Darrell, all I say is, what's the website address while Baljit handles?
You can also, look us up at mobilionsystems.com. There is a connect form there if somebody is interested in connecting with one of our sales team members, myself or Bal or anybody on the marketing team, there's a form that they can fill out, and somebody will obviously respond in a very quick time frame. But yeah, MOBILionsystems.com.
Brilliant. Thank you. Well, look, all that's left for me to say is I will leave you to get back to your families, because I know they're all eager to talk to you and spend time with you during this holiday season. So all I can say is it's lovely seeing you both. I genuinely wish you, your families, and everyone at MOBILion a fantastic, happy and healthy festive season and new year, and look forward to working with you in 2022.
Same thing to you, Riz. Thank you so much. Blessings to you and your family.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rizwan. Thanks again for having us, and yeah, all the best, and look forward to 2022.
Thank you. I look forward to it. And there you go, viewers. So I hope you learned a lot more about MOBILion and also their thoughts on this year and their predictions for next year. If you'd like to know more, you can catch them at some live events, either live or virtually in January. Pep Talk is one, and obviously the CAS event in Washington as well, and many others. And if you can't, then check out the website. I'll put the website address above the video. And also there's lots of posters from ASMS, which I'm sharing anyway, so you can see them. But there's lots of great information and content as well, which you'll be able to see as well. So all that's going to say is I wish you all who are watching a fantastic festive season and a happy and healthy new year. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.